Hey everyone, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to the show. And yeah, this is another one that has been months in the making. And when I say months, I mean like so much, rescheduling, a lot of, other commitments that popped up, especially during the summertime. But you know what? We're finally here in the midst of the crazy holiday season. We have Kelly Lou Dennis in the corner. Thank you so much for joining me on this morning's episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep, anytime. So I guess to start this off, since we're kind of like almost at the end of the year, which is kind of nuts to think about,
I know.
yeah, how's your 2024?
It's been wild. We
Yeah.
started taking my short film around to festivals. We did start technically at the end of last year, but I would say we only did like a couple of festivals in December and then one a little before that. But this has been the festival year. So we've been traveling like almost every single month. Just came back from a crazy run between London and the Bay Area and Utah. But it's been great getting to see different reactions from people, from filmmakers, from non-filmmakers, from horror lovers. I mean, it's been great just to see a spread of reactions from people.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of festivals are just kind of really taking off, especially with, premieres and s- yeah, just a lot of, publicity, press related stuff that are just coming out. So that's, as long as you're staying, productive and proactive, that's just kind of like, that it's always a good thing because when we got stuff going on, it's like, what is kind of something that helps us is like, we're just doing the what we can just to, have fun and create art. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Yeah. So for you, what was something that is like some what would you say was the beginning of like, you found the acting bug, or what is something that kind of bit just your, with the creative pursuits and something that got you started in this business?
Sure. I mean, in the beginning, I did also, my mom was a single mom. And so when she was working, especially during the summers, she needed to put me somewhere. And so that ended up being musicals and plays, especially musicals growing up, which is funny because I hate singing. I do not like to sing in public. But that got me introduced to the world of theater, and I started leaning into that a bit heavier in high school. We had a great program at my school, which was very lucky. And I had my first lead role when I was a junior in high school. I played Hero in Much Ado About Nothing. Um, and in college, that's when I discovered acting for the camera. And though I love theater, I loved the style of acting where the camera could be inches from your face and you can't hide anything. You don't have to project any emotion or anything vocally. You can just kind of experience whatever the character is going through and trust that the camera will be able to pick that up and pass that along to the audience, no problem.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, uh, what do I really want to do? But then it's, I guess, acting. Well, let's do it. Yeah, it's just kind of like that one thing where it's just kind of, oh, okay, hmm, I guess I could give it a shot and see how it turns out. And snowball effect happens, and here you are. It's
Sure.
just really crazy how it happens.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do it because you love it. That's the only way to stay in it for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So, for your experience and challenges, and because I know an actor's life, it's not like it's definitely full of ups and downs. So, what would you say were kind of like the, some moments that happen where you're just kind of like, okay, wow, okay, I guess I kind of made the right decision in doing this.
Um, I mean, I would say it was all kind of one step after another. I wouldn't say there was like a huge revelatory moment because fairly early on, I think it was when I was a freshman in high school. Um, that's before I had found acting for the camera, but I I was very lucky because I had a sense of clarity. I just knew this is what I want to do. I want to pursue acting. I like storytelling. I've been writing stories since I was young. So I just knew that that was something I couldn't stop doing. So it's really this inevitable experience for me. But again, once I found the language of acting for the camera in college, I mean, then everything just clicked and made sense because I knew I loved acting. Knew I loved working on characters, but something had always been um, kind of, I don't want to say missing, but just not quite right until I found that different medium of being able to tell story. And from there, it was just, I mean, I was hooked. I lived in the Bay Area at the time. I would drive up to San Francisco for auditions. I would drive to the East Bay during traffic hour. I mean, I would drive to LA for a while. I was driving to LA once a week. And this was my routine. I would wake up, I would exercise, I would pack my stuff, and then I would drive to LA around noon on a Monday. I would arrive just in time just to go to an acting class down there. And then I would grab a really big coffee and I would drive back up. And I would do that once a week um, just because I wanted to have the training that, LA offers. So,
All the way from the Bay Area to LA. Wow.
oh, sorry, just one second. I think I lost you.
Oh, can you hear me? Uh-oh, did we lose her? Let me know if you
Hello, can you
can.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Apologies for that.
Okay, yeah, sorry. We had a little tech difficulty, but yeah, so you came all the way from Bay Area to LA once a week.
Yes, I would do that. And sometimes I would rope an actor from the Bay Area in with me to take the class and be my driving buddy. But sometimes not, and it was just kind of something that I knew I had to do.
Yeah, well, it's the commitment and the dedication, that's what I always keep saying.
If
So
you love it, you'll do
for
it.
exactly, exactly. So for the nuances, because yeah, we could just go over a little bit about like, just the your beginning. I guess we all call it like the baby steps of, an actor's journey. So how would you say that your early days auditioning for stuff and then getting to be on set had really changed the trajectory of your life, just in your career and also in your personal, you know, professional day-to-day, life and stuff.
Like how I got started auditioning, you're saying?
Yeah, like from your early days, how would you say that your acting journey had changed dramatically since auditioning to, just actually being up on the set with the different projects that you've done over the years?
I mean, I wouldn't say that there was a huge gap between them because as soon as I discovered that film acting was a thing, then I realized that I could be, I mean, certainly you can apply for an agent or a manager, even if you're in an area that's not Los Angeles. So that was something I was thinking about, but I figured, well, I need to get some experience first and I need to understand what this is. I mean, there's so much to learn, and unfortunately, there's just not really a whole lot of schools that are teaching what the steps need to be. First, you need to get a headshot, then you need to do this, like really breaking down those, I don't want to say simple steps. It's, what you need to get started. But if you don't have that information or knowledge of what you need, then you kind of just have to wing it and talk to other people and slowly piece it together yourself. So I think step one for me was I was taking classes at my college, but I found another acting class, at least in the Bay, and I started submitting for student projects. So it could be from the schools in San Francisco, the schools in like Oakland and Fremont, a little bit in my area as well, but just going to as many auditions as I could, working on the scenes, bringing some of those scenes to class, which was great because then I got to work on it with the teacher and then go audition. Honestly, just getting experience auditioning itself because that's a completely different art, I would say, than acting on set. Um, and then once I started booking some of those roles on student projects, then that gave me a great opportunity and to start learning things like, being a character is one thing, but you also have to learn how to conserve your energy. You have to learn how to be aware of the camera. You have to learn, how to work with a microphone, all sorts of different things. So, how to work with the director, oh my goodness. So I just did a lot of student projects, which gave me a lot of experience, contacts, but also it gave me material that I could cut together for an acting reel. And that was instrumental. Like, that was a huge, huge next step for me because if they are looking at who they want to audition and they only can see your photo, it really hurts your odds. Whereas if you have even just a little bit of student films or something, it gives them an idea of who you are and what you could bring. So that was kind of how it got started for me.
Yeah, and what were some of the biggest moments that happened where you're just like, oh my God, I'm doing this?
Um, I mean, there's definitely the whole, I would say the whole thing. I'm sure there's plenty of industries that are like this, but certainly many things in the arts, especially in the film industry, there's big ups and there's big downs. And then you look back on them years later and, they feel like blips compared to how they felt in the moment. I'm getting my first manager was a huge deal. Um, when I decided booking a lot of roles were always a huge deal. Even if they were student projects, maybe it's a role that I really, really gravitate to, or maybe it's a role that I don't have tape yet. I don't have something to put in my demo reel of me in this certain character. So those could be extremely exciting. Um, yeah, definitely the first time that I got picked up by an agent in Los Angeles when I was still living in the Bay Area, that was a really big deal. And that was very exciting, and they were getting me in for some great auditions. But it was very stressful because especially back then before the pandemic, the idea of somebody living out of the market, out of Los Angeles, and like traveling in, it was just insane. Auditions were in person for the most part. They weren't this constant self tapes like they are now. So, I mean, I could be anywhere at any time working my job with my family, whatever. I could get a call from my manager or my agent, and they could say, "Hey, so let's say it's like 6 p.m. on a Tuesday." And they'll say, "Hey, tomorrow Wednesday at 2 p.m., can you be in Los Angeles for an audition?" And I would have to be like, "Yeah, no problem." And then hang up, panic, clear my schedule, get work covered, find transportation down there, learn the sides at some point, the acting sides, um, and go to that audition. You're in the room for maybe 10, 15 minutes and then turn around and come back. So that was extremely stressful. And it was completely worth it, but it was a lot to manage. And that's, I think, the point that I knew in my heart of hearts, I have to move to Los Angeles. And I don't know exactly when I'll be able to do it, but I just need to be there if I really want to go after it this way.
It's so important with what you just said because it's the persistence and the drive that you have for a specific field that is really going to show off. Because, like, you can just kind of tell when somebody is just kind of whatever, and then it kind of shows in their work. But if somebody is truly, honestly in love with it, it's gonna be like people can, yeah, people know. That's when you know when somebody is like in it, you know?
Yeah. Because you might get
Yeah.
lucky. Let's say someone's not in it for the love of the craft. Maybe they're in it for a different reason that perhaps isn't as
Yeah.
powerful or long lasting. They might get lucky, or maybe they know someone. They might get lucky. They might have a role. They might have a handful of roles. But I mean, it's such a intense industry. There's so much competition, and just booking one massive role does not secure the rest of your career. I mean, look at all of these huge stars who we've seen, and you fall in love with them, and then like 5, 10 years go by, and you realize, yeah, whatever happened to so and so? I don't think there's really such thing as making it. Perhaps like for a selected few, but even for people who have series regular roles on TV shows or films that win an Oscar. It's just nothing is guaranteed. So that being said, if you're on it for like the long game because you just need to be in that industry, I think that's what's going to sustain you. And so a big love for it is a big piece of what's going to sustain you.
So, everything that you've mentioned, would you say that's what it takes to thrive in the competitive world of acting?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things, but I think the very first piece is your mentality, kind of like we're talking about, your mindset. I mean, I've had people ask me, "Well, gosh, what's it like being rejected all the time? How do you handle that much rejection?" And I mean, I do experience rejection all the time, especially since I'm going after acting and writing and filmmaking. So I get rejections from film festivals, I get rejections from writing competitions, I get rejections from if you casting directors or not getting the role. But I think it's looking at it from a different perspective, and it's not me just like fluffing it up to make myself feel better. I'll get to this in a second, but it's not really a rejection because especially like with acting when I was on the other side and I was casting for my film and bringing people in, there were two roles, two big roles especially that we were casting for, and I had so many very, very talented actor friends of mine, dear friends who I would love to get to work with, like how special that would be. And I'm rooting for them and I'm giving them the adjustments and things for the scenes, but at the end of the day, if they're not the character, they're not the character. And they might have put together a fantastic audition, incredibly moving, and taken all of the adjustments from the director, and just done everything right with flying colors. But if they're not the person, they're not the person, and that can be really hard on the other end of things. So when I'm going into things now as the actor, I remember that experience I had when I was in their shoes of like it's not really like they're gatekeeping and oh well they're only going to let certain people in. um, at the end of the day you have to be great, and that's what allows you to be considered, and then it's just what flavor makes sense for the project. And somebody told me once, which I'll hang on to, the thing is most things in this industry are just not personal. So all we can do is, put as much as we can into it and let that genuinely be a celebration of like, man, I killed it today. I really feel like I did a great job. And if you hear back, that's a cherry on top. But if you don't, then either you blew them away and they'll remember you for the next project, or you just move on to the next thing. Um, yeah, that's what I would say. So the mindset of how you look at all of it, because it is going to be a lot of things that you put effort into that you don't book and you don't get. So that end goal cannot be the only reason you're doing it. That will kill you.
Of course. So, for writing, like with your writing endeavors, would you say that it also helped you grow as an actress?
Totally. Oh my gosh, yeah. Because when you're looking, I think they all feed each other. When I'm writing, I know I have to write a beginning, middle, and end. I know I need to write a character arc in every scene, but also in every project. And I know every character is there to serve a purpose, not to show off the actor, whoever's coming in, not to give them an emotional thing to show off or let's see how funny they can be. Each character is there for a specific reason for the story. Um, so when I go into a script, breaking it down as an actor, then I have all of that in my mind as well. And the acting feeds the writing too, because all of the things I've learned as an actor, I can bring that to the writing. And same thing I would say with directing. They all really just inform each other because at the end of the day, film is about collaboration, and what is collaboration but many different minds and many different perspectives on something. So that's kind of the same thing when you're creating it. You have the writing perspective, the acting perspective, the producing direct perspective, editing, all of that.
Yeah. So, what would you say is the most creatively fulfilling or just even rewarding about just all your endeavors?
um I would definitely say when pretty much all of the stuff that I create has something to say that's much deeper than the story or the horror or the thrill or the character or the world. There's always something that's very important to me and to a lot of the people that I've seen, been around in my life. There's something that I'm trying to say and point out and help us question things to be better and to move towards, um, hopefully a brighter future. So for me, whenever somebody reads something or watches something that I've created and then they come back to me saying how it helped them feel seen or helped them feel validated in the traumas or the pains that they've been carrying, and if it made them feel a little less alone, I would say that feedback is really the most fulfilling. When somebody watches my short film and they say, wow, I just couldn't stop thinking about it all week, or after my partner and I watched it, we were up for a couple hours. We had just this discussion that just kept going. Those are the moments that, mean the most to me for sure.
Yeah. So you did say, physical fitness and, self. I think you kind of mentioned a little bit of self, but this is probably going to be the next question anyway. So, what is something that keeps you that just really keeps your batteries going per se, like just to prevent burnout or just if you're in a creative slump, anything that you like to share with the audience?
Sure. I mean, I definitely do exercise regularly. I think it's really important for my
Oh
mental
yeah.
health and my energy. And on top of that, I would say finding time to take breaks. And even though it's like kind of three different paths, acting, writing, and filmmaking, um, taking a break from writing does not mean working on acting. It means taking a break from industry stuff. It means going outside. I've been remembering recently the power of going on a 10-minute walk, um, and remembering that there is more to the world than what I'm planning in the future or what happened in the past. There, you could just be present in the world. It's amazing how far that will go. Animals, being with my animals. I have two dogs and a cat, so playing with them. Strong connections with like-minded people, and by like-minded, all I mean is, people with integrity and honesty and kindness. Just getting to spend time with people. Um, yeah, those are all things that can feed it.
Yeah. And I really loved how you mentioned like the challenges and the hurdles of, being an actress. But if you were to say any project that you've done, like if you were to list off like something on from your resume or IMDb, whatever, that left a
Hmm.
significant impact on your personal life, what would you, if you'd like to give them a shout out, of course. So, what are some of the projects that left a big, like, that changed your life for the better?
Sure. I would say there's a few. The first one was the second feature film that I acted in. It's called Vampiriah. And I mean, man, this was like a labor of love project. And it was perfect for me because, I was still in the Bay, I was still learning, I was still getting on my feet. And we shot this thing over the course of a year. And we shot only on weekends. Sometimes we'd sneak in like a Monday or a Friday, but I mean, my entire year would be being in San Francisco, and half of the week, and then being home half of the week. But um, yeah, I mean, I got to fight train, one on one with some great stunt choreographers. I got to I was 3D scanned well before any of that. I mean, this was like maybe 10 years ago, and I had a 3D scan made of myself. I worked with special effects makeup. I had all sorts of crazy like cuts and stuff on me. So it was like an amazing, crash course into all sorts of different things. We were shooting guerrilla style in San Francisco in January at 3 a.m. at times, and it was really cold. So I learned how to work with the elements and work with my body to still get the performance out when I needed to. Um, so that was totally transformative. Made some great friends there, but I just learned so much by being in so many different scenes and having to go through so many different scenarios, I guess, for an actor. So that would be the first one I would think of. Um, last year, was it last year? Yeah, last year I worked on a short film called Deliberate. It's on the festival circuit right now. It had its world premiere a few months ago at Dances with Films in Los Angeles. Um, and I would say that that might be my proudest acting moment to date. I am so proud of the team and the writer director Marta Roncada, who just made it a very safe space to go to a very vulnerable and intense place. The other actor was fantastic as well. Um, so I'm really glad to have experienced that depth of like vulnerability and meaning behind a role that I haven't had before. Um, so that'll stay with me. I'm really proud of that film. Um, and then, I mean, of course, my first short film, Good Girls Get Fed, which is just wrapping up its festival run right now. That one, I was one of the writers, one of the lead actors, directed, and of course, when it's your own project, you inevitably have to produce them. But getting to put that all together, to build a team of like over 30 people, going through that entire experience, um, I don't know what else could change my life more. So we're working on developing the feature for that. But even just the experience from starting with the short, finally realizing and accepting that I was going to direct it, oh my God, and now all the way through post production and taking it through the festival journey and everything, that has really changed my career single handedly more than anything else. So.
Yeah. This is like getting your shot at directing. It's like, is the experience like, do you still prefer being an actor or just being on the other side, just, overseeing the entire production process? Just,
I mean, I haven't directed something that I wasn't acting in yet. So that'll be a great experience when I do get to that point. I think I'm someone that really enjoys the challenge of multitasking, which is why the acting and directing at the same time wasn't really as daunting or challenging as perhaps it seemed like it was going to be for me up front. But I don't know if there's one that I could give up between writing, directing, and acting. I think they're all just, I care about them all so deeply in very different ways.
yeah. Like I said, it's the love and persistence that just really pays off in the end.
Hmm.
Yeah, so if you like to share like any upcoming projects or just, something that is out right now that you like to, plug in, that would be, oh, and also just, give out just where people can check out your stuff, where, they can see what you're up to. Not stalking, but it's more like, yeah,
Hmm.
where can we check out Kelly's, what she's been up to?
Sure. I'm not very creative, so my handle on everything is my name, Kelly Lou Dennis. It's like three first names is my entire name. um, but that would be my handle on Instagram is Kelly Lou Dennis. KellyLouDennis.com has all of my acting, writing, film endeavor stuff, so you can see it all kind of in one place there. And then the handle on Instagram for my film is Good Girls Get Fed, which is just the name of the movie. So that's where you can see everything. Like I said, we're developing the feature film of Good Girls Get Fed. So I have the script. We have a pitch deck, and we've been speaking to a number of individuals about the next steps for that. So that's been keeping me rather busy. But as far as acting stuff, there's a few things in the pipeline. So we'll see when we're able to announce them. And then I know Good Girls Get Fed probably has one or two more festivals left. The short film I mentioned, Deliberate, that I'm really proud of, that one is probably almost halfway through its festival run. And then there's a feature film called Sync that I have a small role in. And that one is just getting started right now. That one's a fun, like, kind of like a sci-fi horror. Um, Talks about the problems of like disconnectedness with social media between friends. And then finally, there's a short film called Pace. It's about two trans masked boxers and their journey. And that film, I was a producer and I acted on that one. And it's been doing well. It got into a couple of huge, like, Academy qualifying festivals. I think more so on the East Coast, but I might have had word that we might be hearing from New York pretty soon, and we have our LA premiere coming up next month as well. So those are all the things.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, from theater to on set, you've had like quite a long career. So I just want to wish you congrats.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ben, do you want to close out with any last bit of advice or goodbyes or anything that you want to close out with?
The last thing I'll say is anyone who's looking to get into the industry, yes, you have to love it like I talked about, but just know that yeah, focus on the journey and there's going to be a lot of downs, but if you love it enough, they will not at all compare to the ups. So, yeah.
Yeah, right on. As for the outro, thanks so much for watching Station Square with Robert and Kelly, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day, and yeah, have a terrific week ahead, and God bless, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.